was you build it across the neck of the ocean. You probably know what it is. You know, you use that slate stuff, you know, comes out of the ocean to build that causeway. So we was building that causeway there, and got that thing built. I don't know. The funny thing, we was walking along the road there, going up the front line, and they had this Filipino with us, and he a young guy. Anyway, there's three of us walking along there talking, and he'd been shot and just got out of the hospital, and the Japanese shot him. Anyway, we was walking along the road there, and we heard that shot, and I looked over, and he grabbed his shoulder, and he shot him again. He said, "That son of a gun got me again, right in the shoulder." He said, "Man, I'm going to hunt him up." I said, "You can't hunt him up, you're bleeding like a stuck hog." So the Marines was over a little ways, and they got him. He was up in a tree, and he shot him. But that Filipino, I laughed at that. That son of a gun got me again. But anyway, they're shooting 25s. They had 25 gun rifles, was 25s. So there wasn't like a big one, you know.
Yeah.
Big one tear a hole in you. That wouldn't. Anyway, he went back to the hospital again. I never did see him after that. I tried to find him, but I couldn't find him after that. He sure was a good guy, friendly guy too, you know. Anyway, like I said, we went on up there and went to work on the causeway, and we got it built. And we went back to camp one night, and the captain said, "Well, we got to set up machine guns on the beach. Said they're having an invasion. Japanese going to invade." Well, we thought they were coming down where we were at, but they didn't. They landed up on the other end of the island. They landed 5,000 soldiers up there, Japanese did, up on the other end of the island. And finally, we got it pretty well secure. Well, when we get it pretty well secure, they'd ship us out. We didn't stay there long. I mean, you know, move you on out. So we didn't know where we was going. We got back on the ship again, and we was going somewhere anyway. We tuned in on Tokyo Road. She told us where we're going. Said, you're going to Cebu City in the Philippines. Well, we didn't know Cebu City from anything else. It didn't matter to us. We were going. But the funny thing about it, we hadn't eaten anything. It was good, just dehydrated eggs and stuff like that, you know, like spaghetti and macaroni, just anything that, you know, that didn't spoil. Well, that's about all we eat. Anyway, we got on that ship. Funny thing, I walked down that galley, and that guy said, "What do you have?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "What do you want to eat?" I said, "What do you got?" And he said, "Anything you want." I said, "Just give me a T-bone steak." And he said, "Okay." So he fried me up a T-bone steak. Well, I eat that, dude.
Oh, goodness.
Man, it was good. I ate that T-bone steak, and then this other old boy come by, and breakfast, went down for breakfast, and he said, asked him, "How many eggs you want?" That old boy said, "Give me a dozen. I'll start with that." We hadn't had any eggs either.
Goodness.
Oh, man, we was really psyched up on that food. I mean, it was good. I drank a quart of milk and sitting down there, just drank a quart of milk at a time. But anyway, I thought, well, you know, fatten this up to go into the next one. Anyway, we got to Cebu City, and I got my arrowhead there. We landed there in Cebu City, and we went in on Cebu City there, and it took us about, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks to clean out the city there, get the Japs out of it. They had a American prison camp there, and it was pitiful. I mean, it was absolutely pitiful. It just, probably today if I'd look on it, it'd make me sick. But it was, then you're used to stuff like that, you know. You don't get used to it, it's just you see it.
Right.
And these guys were poor. I mean, they were terrible. Ribs were showing, just, it was awful. Anyway, we let them out and took them back to the ship, got them on the ship, sent them back to the States. But the Japs had released a leper colony there too. Had turned them loose, and we had to round them up, put them all back in the colony. And I just knew we were going to take leprosy every one of us. But we didn't get it, fortunately. I guess the Lord didn't see fit to let us have it. We got everything else, but we didn't get that leprosy. Anyway, we spent, we were 3 months there, and we went to Negros Island. they come in and told us, said, okay, said, we got 2 more islands we got to take next to this island. Said, there's Japanese on it too.
So when you were landing, did you land, I mean, you said you landed under fire. Is that
Yeah.
all these that you're doing the same thing? And just,
yeah.
Were they like set up on the hillside or when you're coming in? Or how?
Well, no, they were on the beach. On the hill, you didn't have any hillsides around where the beach is at,
Okay.
on them islands. The island, the beaches were kind of flat, but it led into islands, and they'd have guns a lot of times in the hills up there. But anyway, we went to Nicholas Island, and it was a beautiful island. I mean, it had been at one time a tourist attraction because a lot of people that went there. They had cement walks all along the beach, and they had tables and stuff. This woman was explaining it to me about it, what all they'd had before the war, and it was beautiful. I mean, as far as she explained it. Anyway, we landed there, and it took us about 3 days before we could get enough foothold on it to get in there, because I think they had every Jap they had around there in there. Anyway, we got in there, and finally they put us in a post office there. We bivouacked in a post office, and we were cleaning it out. And we went in there, and there was a bunch of Filipino money in there. They had a safe there, and there was Filipino money in that thing. And he told us that we were going to carry that out and burn it. And I got to look at it and said, United States banknotes on it. Yeah. And we turned it out there and put it and burned it. One old boy said, I'm going to take some of this home with me. He stuck a big packet in his pocket to put in his berry bag. But it was good. It was good money. Anyway.
So is it actually Philippine currency or is it U.S. currency?
Yeah, well, it was Filipino currency, but it was backed by the United States.
Oh, wow.
See, the Filipino has been backed by the United States for a long time.
Right, yeah.
They back on money. Anyway, and we set up a motor pool down there, and I was working on trucks and things. And funny thing about this, these guys that come up there and they want to swap for something out of the kitchen. Well, I had a pretty good friend in the kitchen. So anyway, this guy come up there and had about 5 chickens, and he said, we want to swap for something. I said, okay. We'll go up here to the kitchen and you pick out something you want. He went in there and picked out a gallon of dehydrated eggs. I said, you don't want that? Yeah, that's what I want. I want that gallon. I don't think he knew what it was. I said, you don't want that? Yeah, I want that. Anyway, I swapped for the chickens. Anyway, we wound up with about 15 chickens out of there, and this Filipino come up there and he said, hey, I can cook them chickens for you. I can fix them real good. He did. He got them chickens and he fixed them, and we went down and I eat myself to death. Now, I'm going to have tossed so good. He fixed them chickens, I don't know how many different ways, and all kinds of them. And had this 2 little kids come up there, and I guess they was about 10 years old, 9, 10 years old. We called one of them Nig. He was real dark, and the other one was light because his granddaddy had been an American soldier. Anyway, they come up there and they got attached. We got attached to them. I mean, if they wasn't around, we'd go hunt them up. One of us would go find them with it. Anyway, we got ready to leave. We broke the tents down and everything, loaded them on the truck. We got ready to leave. We tried to find them, say goodbye to them. We couldn't find them. So one of them's mother came down there and wanted to know where they's at. Said, can't find Nig, can't find the other kid either. I can't think of what his name was. Anyway, I said, they ain't find him. Well, we got to looking and hunting for them, and finally somebody said, you know what? Said, all them tents loaded on that truck over there. Said, maybe we'll look under them. We went over there, and sure enough, they had got back under them tents. They were going to go with us. They wanted to go with us.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, they just cried up a storm. We took them off that truck. They just bawled up a storm. They wanted to go with us. But anyway, it was nice kids. It was good. And to make a long story short, we went on back to Cebu. Well, General came in, General Hodge again, made his stump speech. He got up and he said, well, I had 98 points. And he said, I don't care if you got 110. Ain't nobody going home. He said, we're all going to Japan. And now this was bomb drop. Said, we're all going to invade Japan. Well, we had trucks and all kinds of vehicles that lined up, tanks and everything else for miles there in Cosmoline, which is where you can land them in the ocean, and they won't rust. We had them all fixed in Cosmolines. We had guns and different kinds, all Cosmoline. We was getting ready to go. So we were loading them on the ship when they dropped that bomb, and that was a good day. That was a wonderful day. Yeah, that was a wonderful day when they dropped that bomb. Somebody said they killed over 100 and something thousand. I said, I can't help that. I'm here. I'm still.
Right.
They didn't get me. Anyhow, we did. We got on a ship. But the funny thing about it, we rode a little LSI to Japan, which was not a big ship. It was only about, I guess, our company was on it, which was about 40 something. And but we were sitting on. There's three of us sitting out there by the galley one night, just sitting there talking. And this cook come out of the galley and he said, "How y'all like ice cream?" And I said, "Boy, I like ice cream. I ain't had any ice cream since I've been over here." "How much you want?" And I said, "Well, how much can you get?" And he said, "I got him out of a gallon." "Did you want a gallon?" And I said, "No." "How much you want?" And I said, "Just bring me a quart." And the guy said, "Bring me a half gallon." And we sat there and eat ice cream. I'm telling you, no wonder they didn't kill us.
Mm.
But we eat that ice cream. But I thought that was something else, eating that ice cream. So we went on into Japan, went into Yokohama, and we went up to see Nagasaki and Hiroshima after we got there and got settled down. We went up there and seen them, and I'll guarantee you they was leveled. There wasn't anything left. The biggest thing that left in Nagasaki was a big safe. It was a steel safe, just a bank, and that, I don't know how thick it was, but it must have been awful thick because it didn't even bother that thing. It was just still sitting there. That was the only thing. That's the biggest thing that was sitting. The rest of it all burned up, everything. And so I thought that was quite a deal,
Were they not worried about radiation or anything going in those towns?
No, the radiation had already occurred out.
Okay, so it's
we
already
went up there. Yeah, they checked it before they let us go anywhere. They checked it first. They said it was okay. It was safe. But the funny thing, I got on this electric train. There's three of us got on that time there. There's three of us running around together most of the time anyway. Anyway, we got on this electric train, and it was just crowded. I mean, them Japanese just pushing there, just shove one another, getting in there, and some of them were even on top of the thing. They were just everywhere, all over that train. And one old boy fell down, and I felt sorry for him. I just kept tromping him. He couldn't get up. We finally got him up, got him moving around a little bit. "Oh, I'm all right, I'm all right, I'm all right." Anyway, that's where we went on Nagasaki then. We went up and watched it. But when we were coming in on the Yokohama Highway, we turned off this road to go to the camp where we was going to bivouac. And man, it's the prettiest garden you ever saw out there. I mean, it was beautiful. It had everything in the world, tomatoes and carrots and just all kinds of stuff. Well, we hadn't had any of that fresh vegetables. So that lieutenant said, "Stop the truck." Well, I had it loaded with troops on there. So I stopped the truck. All them guys jumped off, went running out in that garden, boy, and gathering that stuff up. One little boy looked down and said, "Uh-oh." Said, "Y'all look at your shoes." Every one of them lifted their shoes up, and it was dirty. I mean, it was terrible. You know what they use for fertilizer, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what it was. It's all over our shoes. And we got back to the truck and all pulled our shoes off.
Like human waste.
Yeah, human waste. We pulled our shoes off. But I was there for only. Well, they come around and told us that everybody that drives a truck has got to stay here because we got to haul the troops down and bring the other troops in. So we hauled them down at the dock, and I stayed there 2 months in Japan, just hauling back and forth troops. And finally, we got on the ship to come home. I went down to get my discharge, and that's where they made a boob. And I should have noticed it, but I was so enthused to get a discharge, I was ready for it. So I went down, and the guy wrote the discharge out. And we were attached to the 118th Combat Engineers at that time, and I don't know why, but we were. And well, that's what I got my discharge out of, which I should have got it out of the 57th Combat Engineers, which that's what I was in. But anyway, I got it out at 118th. And I got to looking at this chart, and I said, "Hey, this got 118th on it." "I don't matter." I said, "Just go on, it'll be all right." It don't matter what you get out of it. I guess no. I was enthused to get out and carry it away. So I come on, I come on back to the barracks there, and we went down and loaded on the ship to come home, and we started I don't know where it was at. It was out in the ocean somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, all at once the ship leaned over and all of us fell out of our bunks right on top of one another.
Oh gosh.
It run into a hurricane's what we did.
Oh,
and it leaned over. That thing, and just sat there and trembled. You could hear them trash barrels and things just hitting the rails. Boy, it's bang, bang. And practically straightened back up a little bit, and the captain come on. He said, "This is your captain." He said, "If we'd have went 3 degrees more, we'd have turned over." He said, "That's just what we said. If a bird come by and lit on the rail, we'd have went over." But that's just how far we went. Anyway, I never thought about a hurricane. I didn't know what a hurricane was. Anyway, I said, "I ain't staying down this hole no more. Ain't getting me down here." I said, "I ain't staying down here." I said, "They done told me what they do." Said, if something happens and they close off these doors, if you're in there, they just close them off with you in there.
Right.
I ain't gonna be in there. Not me. I went up on top and I said, "Hey, they had some guns up there. I don't know why they still had them, but they had some up there." And I said, "This one old boy, he was on the gunner there." And I said, "You need any help?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Good. I'll just sleep up here then." But anyway, we run this hurricane, and it's a funny thing. If you've never been into one or seen anything, it's hard to describe. One minute it's kind of like being down in Grand Canyon and looking up and seeing the thing way up yonder, way up high, you know. And then all at once you're way up high and others down there. It's just it's real scary.
Wow.
But they had about I guess 8 or 10 inch pipe, more bigger than that, I guess 12 inch maybe, run over the side. And I asked a sailor, he come hopping by there, and I said, "What's that pipe for?" He said, "That pipe is pumping water out of the engine room." Uh-oh. "What's wrong with the engine room?" He said, "There's water down there." I know. "How come it down there?" And he said, "Because when it went over last night, it pulled the propellers clear out, shaft and all." Said, "We got to pump the water out of there. We got it closed down some, but we can't close it all off."
Wow.
I said, "Oh boy, here I am going home now, and we're about to sink." Anyway, we went on. Well, I don't know why we went by Greenland, but we went by Greenland, and when we got by there, it started freezing. The water would slosh upon the boat and it'd freeze, so they gave us all chip hammers, and we got up there chipping ice off the thing, keep us from going under, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, we chipped ice, and anyway, I got home, and got to San Francisco. That San Francisco gate is really pretty when you go under it like that. It was ugly when you went out the first time, but sure was pretty that last time. Anyway, the first time I saw a whack, they tell me about whacks, but I never had seen one. Anyway, I was getting off the boat there and had my barracks bag and all the stuff on me, and she hollered, "Set that bag on the line." And I said, "Who are you?" She said, "I'm a whack. I'm a sergeant." And I said, "How'd you do that?" "Well, I'm a sergeant in the wax." I said, "Okay. Set that bag on the line." "Yes, ma'am." So I set it on the line.
What does the WAC stand for?
Huh?
What does the WAC stand for?
What does WAC stand for?
Yeah.
It's Women's Corps.
Oh, okay.
Women's Army Corps, or
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about them, but I had never seen any of them. And it wasn't anywhere I went anyway.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, I got on a ship to come. I got on a train to come home, and I got derailed in Denver, Colorado, and I had every stitch of clothes I had on. I mean, overcoats and everything, and I was about to freeze to death. I said, "I'll never come back to Colorado if I live to be 100. I'll never come back to this place." Man, I was cold. I never got so cold. Well, I think I just turned purple. Anyway, finally got a train out of there, and we come back home. I come back to Duncan.
When you were out on the islands and stuff, how'd you get your mail?
Oh, well, you had mail. Well, you know, you had mail call, but you didn't get it about once every 2 months. But I had a woman at Walters that wrote me letters all the time. Every mail call, I'd get a letter from her. And she was writing, telling me about what was going on in Walters and Tipple and this and that. And I thought that was real neat, you know. And when I got back from over there, I went down and saw her, and she was a real nice girl. She worked there in the cafe there in Walters.
Huh.
And But anyhow, that's how we got it. We got about it. Well, sometimes it'd be longer than that because the mail would have to catch up with you, depending on where you was at
Right.
and where you went. You know, if you left out of one island, your mail would come in, and you have to ship it to an island, but it'd take a while to get there. See, so it wasn't too thorough. Oh, incidentally, I got to tell you this too. I'm kind of bad. We were gambling, playing poker, and I won $2,000. And I put it on a plane, sent it home, and we was all standing there watching the mail plane go out. Bang! Right down the ocean it went.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Right down the ocean, boy. I mean, that thing went down. I said, I got $3,000 or $4,000 on it. I had two on there myself.
Oh my goodness.
But you don't get no insurance, you know.
Right.
This is gone. I mean, that's it. But that was something else.
What'd y'all do for fun out there? Did y'all just play gamble and poker and all that kind of stuff? And
You can sit over there at night, and the moon is just as bright as nearly as bright as your electric light. You can sit there and play poker with moonlight. It's just big and bright as it can be. If it's not raining or something,
Right.
you know. But I mean, on a clear night, it's just bright as it can be. Oh, I forgot. I had another thing I'm going to tell you about too. We was on Bogensville there, and I had this guy. I was walking guard duty with him, and he was carrying a Tommy gun, and I had my rifle. And it was getting pretty dark. I mean, it's getting pretty late at night, you know. And all at once, he jerked that thing up and started shooting, and I said, "What are you doing? You're going to get us both killed." He said, there's a Jap up in that tree. And I said, "Ain't no Jap up there." I didn't know it was. I saw him rattling them leaves up there. Anyway, the next morning when I turned as a honey bear, he was dead. Boy, he filled in full of lead. That dude was dead. I got tickled at that. That was funny. Another time I woke up, I'm getting ahead of myself, I know. Another time I woke up and the tent was full of bullet holes. Now, what in the world happened? I said, "You wouldn't wake up last night when them Japanese come in here?" And I said, "No, I didn't wake up. No weather all over. I run around with. I didn't either. We was all laying in that tent and they'd all been asleep and they didn't know anything about it. And there's bullet holes in the tent." I said, "Man, how we got away from that, I don't know."
oh my goodness.
But it's something else. Well, yeah, they did that. They'd slip into camp at night. And a lot of times, you know, and try to catch you off guard. They caught us off guard. We were off guard that time, I'll tell you for sure.
Goodness.
From then on, we didn't stay off guard too much.
You didn't wake up.
No, we wake up after that. But anyway, that was kind of a deal, you know. But anyhow, I was finishing up. I got on this train coming home, and we got Duncan. I got off up there. Of course, nobody there to meet you or anything. I got off and I hitchhiked to Comanche. I got to Comanche. My sister lived there, so I went up seeing her. I stayed about 2 days with her before I went on home. So I went on home, and I got home. I was in a cafe down there. We was drinking some coffee, and this Gene Kindred, Ruby's brother, he was over by the jukebox, and I noticed he couldn't pick out something, or he couldn't find it, whatever. And I walked over and I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "I can't see them letters. I can't see them, what them songs are on there." And I said, "What do you like?" And he said, "Bob Wells." And I said, "Well, give me money." So he gave me the money, and I put it in there and punched the buttons for him. That's how I met Ruby. Anyway, they had a little dance hall down there, and I went down to this dance hall there in Temple, and they were down there, and Ruby was there. And I told her she had on a red dress. I told her, "Man, that really caught me. That got me." Gene said, "That's my sister." And I said, "Well, I want to meet her." So I did, and so I guess we went together about a couple of months. And then my brother down in San Antonio wanted me to come down there and visit with him. So I went down to San Antonio, and he had about 4 or 5 businesses there. He told me, said, "I'll give you any one of them you want if you just stay here with me." I said, "No, I'm going back home and get married." "You going back getting married? How long have you been going there?" I said, 2 months. That's long enough for me. So I come on back home, and I was sitting there in the cafe one day, and I said, "You know what? I don't know why I'm sitting here. I just well go get married." So I just went to Ruby's house. And she's laying on bed. It's in the summertime. She's laying on bed, and I said, "Get up, we're going to get married." And that's how I proposed. she won't tell you that. That's how I proposed to her. I said, get up, we're gonna go get married. What? And I said, get up, we're gonna get married. You got a car, ain't you? And she said, yeah. And I said, okay, let's go. Well, we gotta have witnesses. And I said, okay. So I went down and got my brother, his wife, and we went to Walters. Got married. I had $5 in my pocket. I mean, $10 in my pocket. She said, give that preacher a $10. And I said, I ain't gonna do it. I'll give him 5 of it, but I ain't gonna give him no 10. I wanna give him 5. I'm gonna eat on the rest of that. So anyway, I gave him $5, and we went on out to eat. So you know, that's about it. That's about
When you were playing, you said you played ball with Alvin Dark
It's Comanche.
in Comanche. When was that back when you were about?
Back when I was a kid.
About how old were you?
Well, I guess I played ball when I was 10, 11 years old. We got a chance. We just played park ball. I mean,
Okay.
you know.
Just pick up ball or something?
Yeah, well, you know, we choose up and play.
Right.
You know, about every Sunday we'd play ball, and if it wasn't working, well, we'd play ball.
Oh, okay.
We finally got a team, and I don't know how I got into it, but I got into catching, and you'll never get into catching, because if you do, they'll never get out of it. Anyway, didn't have no mask.
Yeah.
We didn't have a mask, and had that little glove. It wasn't too much of it, because you didn't have any money to buy one, but anyway,
Right.
we had a little glove to catch with. And we went out to play loco, and that's how I got my nose broke. Old boy hit a foul ball and hit me right in the nose.
Ooh. Ah.
Busted that nose, boy, I mean, it was splattered it. And, yeah, but anyhow, like I said, we didn't have no mask.
Hmm.
So that's how I got my nose broke. That's about it.
Talk about being a fry cook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You were on the phone.
What about your jobs in New Mexico? How'd you get out there?
You
Oh, you already talked about
talked
that?
about New Mexico
I
already.
must have missed that part.
Yeah, I got that on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I already talked about New
Yeah, I
Mexico.
got that on
How did you get mail when you was in the
Oh.
time, because kids didn't have anything. Nobody had anything. And if you had a bat, that's all you needed, a bat and a ball.
Yeah.
And you went out and played. If you didn't have a glove, that's tough. They should have got you one.
Just saved up.
But I played second base, and shortstop didn't even have a glove.
What was the first car you ever owned?
Huh?
What was the first car you ever owned?
Well, I was a CC camp. I bought my first car. Bought a Model A.
How much it cost? Do you remember?
Yeah, I bought a Model A, a 2-door deal, and drove it for about, I guess, 4 or 5 months. And it catered on me, so I swapped it for another one. I had 3 cars, I think, while in CC camp.
Oh,
Never did any one paid for, but I had them.
You didn't pay for
And I
them?
bought
or-
my first house when I was in the CC camp too. I came home, my dad had rented this house, and
You know what
up there, and
CC
he's
camp
paying.
is?
Yeah, we were talking about that.
He's paying $10 a month for it, for that house. And I asked this guy that owned it, I said, what would you take for that house? And he said, $400. I said, will you let me pay it out? And he said, yeah. How much you want to pay? And I was 15 months, and he said, okay. So I paid that house out $15 a month. Well, I paid a little more than that till I got $400 paid anyways. That's the first house I bought while I was in the CC camp. But that's about it.
Did you talk about his mom?
Well, yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't tell you about my mother. We had lived in Comanche, I guess, about 2 years, I guess, something like that. Anyway, I was 7 years old, and my mother got sick, and
Her
my
name
dad
was?
had bought a new Model T.
What was her name?
Sarah Alberta.
Parmalee, right?
Yeah, Sarah Alberta Parmalee. And she got sick, and my dad bought a new Model